AITAH, for leaving my wife without a discussion after I found out she cheated. When you find out your spouse has been unfaithful, there's a certain clarity that comes with the decision to leave. I think most people would agree that ending a relationship in that situation is not only justified, but necessary. But my situation? It's a little more complicated than that. I work in a fly-in, fly-out job, and for the past decade, I've been living in a cycle of 8 weeks away on contract, followed by 4 weeks back home. Right now, I'm working in Africa. That means I'm gone for 2 months at a time, and then I get a month off. It's a challenging lifestyle, but I've adapted to it over the years. In fact, I streamlined my life so much that, aside from my car and one set of formal clothes for events like weddings and funerals, I could fit everything I own into one checked bag and a carry-on. I sold my house a while back because it just didn't make sense to keep it. I was never there, and renting it out wasn't an option because I wanted somewhere to stay during my brief times off. So I simplified my life, living with my parents when I was home, with minimal belongings, free to move as needed. 3 years ago, I met Louise. She seemed like someone who could handle my unusual lifestyle, and we clicked right away. It felt good to have someone to come home to after all those months away. Our relationship blossomed, and last summer, we tied the knot. Everything seemed to be falling into place. Or so I thought. Fast forward to this September, and that's when I discovered the truth. Louise had been cheating on me. To say it was a gut punch would be an understatement. But honestly, when I landed back home this time, I didn't even bother leaving the airport. I booked a hotel for the night, stayed there, and by the next day, I was on a flight to Vietnam. I rented a place there for my time off, blocked her on everything, and immediately got in touch with a lawyer to start the divorce process. Some mutual friends reached out when she started asking around, wondering where I was and why I hadn't come home. I told them the truth. She cheated, and now we were getting divorced. It's painful, sure, but I'm not ashamed. I didn't mess this up, she did. Now, here's where it gets tricky. Louise and I kept our finances separate, which makes things a little less messy, but not completely. The apartment we were living in? It's in her name. The bills, water, power, internet, are also under her name. I'd send her money to cover everything while I was away so she wouldn't have to worry about anything. It worked because then she could use her salary to cover her own expenses. I didn't mind subsidizing her lifestyle. I liked knowing she was comfortable, and I wanted her to enjoy the nice things she liked. But now that we're done, that arrangement's over. Here's the problem. Without my financial support, she can't afford the apartment on her own salary. Her income is decent, but she enjoys spending on the finer things in life. Now she's stuck in a lease and has a car payment that's going to swallow up most of her paycheck. And I'm not planning on coming back anytime soon. I'm still in Africa, working, and by the time I get my next break, I'll be taking my parents to Europe for New Year's. I've already arranged for my company to fly me directly to Italy instead of sending me back to California. I have no intention of returning to that mess. Some of our mutual friends think I've been too cold about the whole situation. They admit she was wrong to cheat, but they argue that I'm being unfair by leaving her in such a financial bind without so much as a conversation. They say she only got the apartment because she was counting on my money to help with the budget, and now I've left her high and dry. So here's my question. Do I really owe her anything more? She's the one who broke the trust, and I've walked away clean. Am I being too harsh by cutting her off completely? Or is this just the consequence of her own actions? Am I the asshole for leaving her to figure things out on her own?